So what is confirmation bias? Why do you want to talk about it?
It's one of the biases that, we talk about the cognitive biases all the time, but this one's a super important one, right? It's the, many of us, when we form an opinion, this is a dangerous one because many of us form an opinion quickly, and then confirmation bias kicks in, aka in the form of we start ignoring stuff that we should be listening to and only looking for the facts that confirm our bias that we've already formed.
So back it up even further. So confirmation bias is one of there's 25 from Charlie Munger, but there's hundreds I've seen of cognitive biases, which you put me on, and I didn't know. And it's just like if you want to really understand marketing and human behavior, like this is where all this stuff is rooted, like the cognitive science, right? The social psychology, all that stuff. So we all as people, we have these natural biases that we can't really do anything about. They're all kind of natural instincts and reactions.
No, but this is the one that you should probably look for the most.
Yeah.
Because this is you closing off. We always talk about, ego, humility, all that stuff, right? And this is the one that'll lead you there the most, because this is you shutting yourself down from hearing about facts that you don't want to hear about.
Yes.
That may be the real facts, and instead looking for evidence that confirms what you already preconceived.
So a lot of biases out there. I think this is the most important one. Confirmation bias. Okay. Let me give you an example. You hit me with this recently. We've been doing a bunch of hiring. Here's an easy.
What's that, kombucha?
This is kombucha.
Okay, let's not show that label there because that's not a sponsor.
Oh, they're not sponsoring us.
No. Because LaCroix.
You're right.
Never came through.
They never came through. We're just drinking water and off-brand kombucha around here. No labels. We're trying to make a hire, a big role that we've had open for a while. Finally meet somebody good.
Yep.
And I'm rushing to DC, we're going to hire this person.
Yep.
And what do you say to me in that situation?
Slow down. Confirmation bias.
Slow down. Be careful of confirmation bias, right? You come across the first thing you see and you grab it.
Hiring is a perfect example of.
You think that's where the most confirmation bias?
Professionally, like where you see it the most. I mean, there's ideas and stuff, but a lot of people are involved in the hiring process.
Yeah.
And they're looking they've made a decision because they have a role that they're trying to fill. And if you're like DG, you're drowning in stuff to do, so you're looking for anybody, a lifeline, anyone to help you.
Yeah.
And so that is a sneaky place where confirmation bias will come in pretty quickly, and that's why you want to wait. That's why I've always had, or for a long time now, I've had the 24-hour test, where when I interview someone, I try hard not to form a positive or negative opinion on them. Instead, I give myself 24 hours to sleep on it, to think about it, and then I start to think about what just happened, because too quickly I was running into confirmation bias of like, I like this person, this was interesting, and I just started to ignore all the warning signs, and instead I used confirmation bias to get myself in trouble.
To the point where I've stopped messaging you after I interview someone, even if it's somebody you want me to interview. I never text you after and say, hey, I met with so-and-so, here's what I think. Always wait to the next day, because I know that your response to me is going to be,
sleep on it.
I don't want to hear your feedback now.
Yeah.
You got to sleep on it. I got to sleep on it. And I'll hear from you tomorrow.
And come on in.
And oftentimes it changes.
Yep.
You think about it. You have a different point of view. It's the same thing like, it's the same reason why, if you're stuck on something, you go for a run or you work out or you go for a walk, and like your brain just unhooks from that thing and you get the clarity and the real answer. I was looking for definitions for confirmation bias before we explained it. And I love this one, which is like, it is more of a description than the definition, but it's when you only legitimize facts that support your point of view.
Yep.
Which this podcast is about learning, and so much we talk about with learning, confirmation bias is such an important piece of understanding that, why you're learning. The other thing is, it's because our brains have to, I didn't make this up, this is from somewhere. Our brains have to try and process so much stuff, so instead our brain tries to take the shortcut and focuses on what it thinks is the most important. That's confirmation bias, right? Which is your example of me, right? You said I'm busy, I'm doing a lot of things.
Yes.
So I see something that looks good and say, boom, we got it.
Jump on in.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a sneaky one. Do you think G2 has confirmation bias? I'm sure he does.
Everybody does. Yeah. He said everybody does. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be weird if you don't have confirmation bias. The point is not The point is, in us talking about confirmation bias, is that it's not a flaw.
No.
It's you have to become aware of it, you know?
So you can control it.
So you can control it. And then think about, whoa, am I being biased? Like your thing, you have the rule now, which is like you wait a day, which basically ensures that you're going to give yourself time to think about it.
And it doesn't mean I'll come up with the perfect answer, but I had to come up with, you know, a habit that I could follow in order to try to avoid it. And my simple one was waiting 24 hours or waiting for the day after to sleep on something. You can come up with something else, but you create like a framework or a framework that leads to a habit that helps you prevent some of these things. And that's, you know, we often reference Charlie Munger, like a lot of these, when he talks about the cognitive biases in the psychology of human misjudgment, one of my favorite videos on YouTube. We'll link that up below. When he talks about it, he's talking about it in the context of patterns that he's developed over time to try to not lead himself by one of these biases. So that's why it's important. He's not only talking about them, highlighting it, but he's saying, look, I've come up with these frameworks, I've come up with these habits to try to avoid these. And by the way, I still fall into them, but I'm doing the best I can to try to, and evolving to try to not fall into them.